This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous group. Groups.
Hey, what's up, Mafia?
Hey.
Scott coming at you, Swank coming at you from 24/7 Buff Pandemonium with the Scott and Swank pre-draft show. It
Yep.
is what it is. What's up, Swank? Say hi to everybody. You just did.
Hi guys.
Uh, hey guys. So we've been doing this for 2 weeks. It's our pre-draft show profile. What we do on the show is we just highlight the one player we believe the Bills are going to go ahead and draft with the 25th pick in this first round. And last week we already touched on that cornerback 2 position. We talked about Andrew Booth Jr. and how he would bring a dimension to the Bills defense that would help out right away. We know Trey White not going to come back till after at least quarter of the season, Swank. And we lost Levi Wallace. Make you nervous?
It brings me back to like that whole McKinnon thing and the repercussions that come from him bailing, because in between that time we got rid of Levi and Bean came out and said it would have been handled different and they probably would have kept Levi. That was the same money. So I think that there hasn't been enough of a deal made about that. I think that it really ripple affected across the whole team's decision, and it kind of left them hanging. And obviously they were okay moving forward without Levi. But yeah, man, I absolutely want more security at CB. It seems like that is the glaring hole that we have right now.
To the point where we went last week, Pandemonium Mafia, we actually suggested maybe the Bills will hit CB with the first pick and maybe even the second pick, which would make a lot of sense if you're looking at our depth chart and all that stuff. But we'll see when it happens. We like to be armchair managers here, and this is simply just guessing and having fun with it, and that's what we like to do, and we like to get the Pandemonium involved. You guys let us know who you think the Bills are going to pick with that 25th pick. But every week we're going to do this until April 28th, which is going to be our draft show. We're excited about that. It was a big hit last year, wasn't it, Swank?
It was fun, man. We were just talking, a 4-hour show, and Scott came over the weekend before or something, and we moved all the stuff out of my studio into my living room and dry ran it all. And that was like a lifesaver, because then the day of the show, when everything's hectic, we all work day jobs, obviously, come back, pull it all in. Scott came over early. We set it all up, and it was like, knock on wood, flawless. Sorry, my dogs just heard that knock. It was flawless, and it was fun, and as chaotic as it could have been, it was like a relaxing, great time. And I'm looking forward to doing it again this year and doing it right here in the new studio. Hey, that was me, dude.
And for all of you that didn't join us last year, again, we're doing our draft show April 28th, starting at 7. We watch the full draft. We try to pick every team's draft pick in anticipation for our Bills at 20. What were they last year? Like 27th, 28th? They were later last year. Yeah. So it was a long night. It was.
We're lucky they didn't trade out.
Right. That'd have been something. So we encourage you guys to come and join us. We also have an open phone. You can call us in. Yep. If you're not a Bills fan and you like any other team, feel free to call in when your team's up, and we'll talk about who the potentially can get there.
Yeah.
So this is our draft show. We picked Booth last week, keeping in mind Kyer Elam, Kyler Gordon, Trent McDuffie, Roger McCreary, all cornerbacks that we believe the Bills could also address with that first round.
Real quick, I just wanted to say we got some activity on the Facebook and the YouTubes. We got Paul Rossi over on YouTube, and we got Let's Talk 716 Sports.
Oh, there you go.
He said, let's go. Hey, Swank and Scott. What's up, buddy?
It's Robbie from 716 for sure. I was on his show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for tuning in.
Awesome show. Yep, awesome show. Check it out on Twitter.
Yeah. We also got Daniel Merchant. We got Rob Mullen, Mike Voigt, Chris Christian. We got John Johns. All of our favorites, man. Some new people. We got Ellen Lartz, Robert. Thanks for coming and chilling out with us on this early hungover Sunday morning.
Yeah, thank you, Mafia. This is awesome. We love the conversation with you guys, and we do get you guys involved. I'm gonna get someone involved right away, Swank. I know we're gonna talk about a new player this week, but we talked about Andrew Booth last week. Danielle Merchant wants to know: do you think we could move up from 25, or is that pretty solid? I've done some mock drafts where I do go to the draft value chart and figure out what would make sense as far as trades. And the New York Giants right now are sitting at 5-7. Swank, you'll like this one. They're sitting at 5-7. They need draft capital. They can, if the Bills were to give their 2023 first round draft pick and switch first rounds this week or this year, that equals out pretty much. So the Bills can move up to 7th. We can get someone like Derek Stingley, that cornerback out of LSU,
That'd be
or
sweet.
even Ahmed Sauce Gardner. I think if the Bills were really high up on a cornerback, then that would be a move they could make. It would be a move. And with our little friendship with Schoen and Dable over there, that might be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, they need capital, right? Like, that's the whole thing. That's also why they're talking about trading their number one cornerback, which was a hot take for a couple days there. Yeah, man, I mean, I don't think you can rule anything out right now. I think Bean has taken what should have been a pretty, like, passive free agency for the Buffalo Bills and just completely blown it up. We said it last year, but this year there are going to be people that you like that do not make this team. Like, it's so deep. There'll be people that were playing in the playoffs last year that aren't going to be on this team, and you're going to be like, well, what the hell? And they're going to get beat out. I mean, he's just brought in solid competition and solid depth and superstars like Von Miller, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just insane. So I would not put it past him in the least to make a big jump. And he's got to have an itchy trigger finger because the last couple of years they haven't, right? They haven't made that big splash. So I could see him doing it for sure, especially if they're all in. If this is like the whole all-in free agency, big moves, this is our year, we got a small window, go for it, I could see him doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't put it by him. We'll be sitting there watching April 28th, anticipating some moves. There definitely are going to be some moves, but we'll see what Bean and company do. So, guys, you ready for the Bills 2022 25th pick in the first round?
Ooh.
Our Bills are going to select interior offensive lineman by the name of Kenyon Green.
Can I get a little sound effect?
Pew, pew.
We'll work on it. I thought that the pew pew was it, so I hit it, and then you were like, that would have been cool. Anyway.
So 24/7 Buff Pandemonium, guys, we're going Kenyon Green, a guy that potentially can go mid first round all the way as late as mid second round I've seen. So he's kind of all over the place. But the two glaring holes, like we've discussed, Swank, were the cornerback position and interior offensive line. Currently, our offensive line, we brought in Mahler, left guard, Roger Safford. That was a huge pickup, a great pickup. We have Cody Ford still, which I think all Bills fans have quit on him. And a guy by the name of, Jacob Capra. I don't think anybody's heard of him. And Greg Mancy, a guy that they just actually signed last week for depth. And those are the only four. So that right guard position, I still see a glaring hole in. And if you want one of these top three guards, I think he'll be available there. The guy is known for, he's a 3-year starter at Texas A&M, guys. He's got 35 starts under his belt. And like Swank, you're going to like, and I think Bean would like, is the fact that he's a multi-purpose lineman. He's played right tackle. He's played left guard. He's played left tackle. He's played right guard. So he's played all over the place. But the thing is with him is he is known for his run blocking. You'll see his body. He's got a body kind of like Quentin Payne. If you remember Quentin Spain, you know, he played for the Bills a couple years, Cincinnati. He's kind of built like that. So he's got low center of gravity. He's 6'4", 325 pounds, and he's got leverage. Fast hands, quick off the snap. He can pull. He can pull for those trap plays and get into the outside and picking up linebackers. And that's one thing he does very well, is he's able to get out in space and find someone to block, and he gets his hands on them pretty quick. He's also has high intelligence. He can get out to that second level, grapple up that linebacker, and block him pretty good. So he's a big son of a gun. I know Texas A&M, their average rush average is 5.3 yards a carry, which is, I think, 15th in the NCAA. I think I looked it up. But out of 200 plus NCAA teams, that's pretty impressive. So he's someone that I think he could fill the spot right away. And with Deion Dawkins, Saffold now, Mitch Morse, and Spencer Brown on that right side, I think they can handle him and take care of him in spring training and all that stuff. But you guys are going to like the comps that I've also seen. I'll get there in a second. You think Cromer Swank, you think Cromer has any pull in what kind of offensive lineman they're going to get?
I mean, sure. I think it's easy to forget that we got Spencer Brown on this team too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think if you got a guy like Green and a guy like Spencer Brown on, they'd be opposite sides of the line, right? I'm assuming.
Yep.
Right guard, left guard, or tackle.
No, Green would be right guard and Spencer Brown would be right tackle, so they'd be on the same side.
On the same side. So, Jesus, I mean, you might as well send Singletary out there behind a couple maulers. We all love how Spencer Brown plays, but it's just he came on like in typical like McDermott and Bean fashion. He came on later on in the season, right, or a couple games in at least, and then all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, right? Where's this guy been? So if we can get Green, and it can be a similar situation, that whole right side of the line, you might get that run game that you've been talking about. I mean, and that'd be awesome.
And you know what he does, Swank? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Spencer Brown. You watch his films, guys, and feel free to go to YouTube. There's a lot of film on these young bucks coming into the draft. But what you will notice about him, and I'll throw out the comp right now, he's a Richie Incognito type of lineman.
I like it.
He plays rough. He plays hard. He plays like Spencer Brown. We all saw how Spencer Brown plays till the whistle, and he's always on top of that pile. He's the same exact type player. So to have those two on the same side would be crazy. And the defensive linemen got to keep their heads up because these guys are definitely going to play to the whistle.
We got Rob Mullen saying he's scheme friendly, meaning he can play in just about any system. So he's an instant fit with Dorsey being a new system. Bobby Johnson employed his own blocking scheme. Cromer should as well. So. Yeah, man. I mean, they like these Swiss Army knife kind of players. They like people that can play everywhere. Has there been any word on Bates yet? Did he actually sign?
He's got a signed tender sheet from the Chicago Bears, and the Bills haven't matched it yet. Okay. Right. No official signing of him. Yeah. And who said that? Rob Mullen?
Yep.
That's what he's getting graded on as far as all these websites goes, is that he is a multi-scheme kind of lineman. Mostly due to the fact that with his size, he's got very nimble feet. He can move in space, fast feet, and anytime a lineman can do that, you can pretty much put him anywhere.
Sure.
So Davin Joseph is a Pro Bowl guard that used to play for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's retired since, but he's also a comp that Kenyon Green gets, and it's due to the fact that, again, I'm going to say Mauler. This guy was part of a good running offense in the NFL, and he had the same size, and he had very nimble feet and was able to go out and make these blocks. So I'm excited for him. If he's there, I wouldn't doubt at all that the Bills would go after this Kenyon Green feller.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to say in the beginning of the show, so like if you're new and you're tuning in, we're not saying that this is the pick. Scott's going through position groups that we have a need for, and if this guy was available and we picked him, it's kind of like this is what he would look like. The rest of the draft would look like this. Scott will run through the rest of his picks if we pick this guy number one at the end of the show. But the big thing about CB and CB2 is that the value just might not be there, right? Like six of them might go before we get to touch anything. And if you're going to pick a guy you could probably get in the second round, in the first round, you're not getting the value. So I think it's a lot more realistic to say someone like Green would be there and he would be an instant value to our team, whereas you get to like the 7th, 8th, 9th tier CB and who knows what you're getting. So nobody freak out. We're not saying this is the pick, but we're also saying it could be the pick, and let's see what happens if it is. You know what I mean? So
could be.
I just want to
Swank. There's a handful of teams that need cornerback and wide receiver in this first round. All teams that pick far before us. So yeah, that's exactly what this is. If with this combine that the wide receivers had this past month, and they're all running 4.3s, we're hoping that a lot of these teams that were on the fence in getting a wide receiver or CB, they will actually pick the wide receivers, so the CBs will be available to us. Right. But if 6, 7 of them go before we even have a chance, we might as well get someone that will start immediately And I have everybody 8 and above going mid to late second round. So that would work out perfect for the Bills.
Sure. And we've seen, like, the draft is never the way that everybody thinks it is, right? Like, you might be able to guess, like, the first 2 picks. But after that, man, it gets real crazy and wild. And just because we're sitting here saying, like, they need this, you would think that Bean is sitting there being like, we need corners like crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want him to be saying. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe not. Remember when we drafted CJ Spiller because the owner wanted him? You know? Like, there's just no telling. There's so many factors. And that's what makes it so fun. So I wanted to get Josh Peck, my boy Josh. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. He says, who knows, Cromer may even be able to get production from Cody Ford. He's not counting on it. But, I mean, it's a valid point, man. I mean, coaching's a huge part of it. Maybe he just hasn't been coached up right. Who knows? I think he doesn't make the team and he's gone, but we'll see.
I mean, there's been no mention on Cody Ford, and we've all seen the production he's put out the last couple of years. A lot of people would say he was one of Bean's rare misses, but maybe new coach, new player, we don't know. But if he makes it, he's definitely going to be a backup
for sure.
I have a couple weaknesses for Kenyon Green, and you watch his film when he's playing right tackle, when he's playing the tackle position, because he is such a low base heavy guy. He doesn't slide to the coverage very well. That's his knock. He's getting, he's average at best at pass blocking, which I think that's fine because he wouldn't be coming to Buffalo to be a tackle. But that's sort of his knock. And a lot of times when players start to slip away from him or start getting off the block, he does tend to get a little handsy. So he's got a couple holding penalties called against him, which is something that training camp and getting used to the speed of the game, that'll all come together. But those are really his only 2 knocks as of now.
You got to say, too, like, if a guy is prone to that, if he gets a couple starts or he gets rotated in, you can expect him in his first couple NFL games with the game being so fast and actually playing against another team and another body. He's gonna catch some flags if that's what his first instinct is. So don't freak out about that, everybody.
That rookie's holding, god damn it, son of a bitch.
Bench him.
So there he is. I think that would be a good pickup at 25. Again, if the CBs have all disappeared and the late rounds, the late second to third round CBs are still there, the Bills can definitely pick up cornerbacks. And you will see in the rest of the draft that I do here very shortly how I figured out the rest of the draft and how the Bills will address those positions. So like, there's our draft profile. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I like it. I still think right now, the way I'm feeling, CB has got to be the way to go if it's there. And I'm really intrigued by that whole trade-up scenario. I guess I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, it entered my mind, but kind of like in and out quick. But I think in my mind right now, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe everybody's going to be like, you're an idiot. In my mind right now, Bean is super good at the draft. We don't really need, like, crazy awesome draft prospects right now. Like, we don't need a lot of them because you're not going to be able to sign them all. And basically, you're going to coach them up all off season, and then some other team's going to benefit from it, So we can afford what I'm saying is, like, yeah, I want to build this team with stud players that are young on cheap contracts. I would love to do that. But right now, the amount of players isn't really the problem, I don't think. I think, like, you could take some of that draft capital and put it together and move up and get your guy. And then, like, having stud CB1 or 2 on a 5-year rookie deal sounds a lot better to me, and not having to worry about it, not having to worry about his cap hit, than getting, like, 5 guys that are going to be, like, maybe they'll make the team, But I do understand. I know the value, and I don't want to sound like I'm an idiot here. But I'm just saying, like, if there was a year to put all your, nuts in one bag, man, like, I think combining a couple picks and moving up and doing it, like, why not? So.
And there's a couple players they can do that for. There are a couple of corners, and there are a couple interior offensive linemen that they could definitely bump up for and address that. So I'm with you with this whole Von Miller pickup and what the Bills are doing this year. I don't think it's per se a Rams kind of strategy, but they're loading up for a reason. They're loading up for a reason. Swank, before I go over the rest of my draft, and I know we talk a lot about what went on this past week on the K-Gun Report, which goes live every Tuesday, guys, at 8 p.m. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m., the K-Gun Report, me, Jared, and Swank get on here and talk Bills football and do exactly what we're doing here and enjoying this conversation. But we're not going to get too far into it. But what would this Tyreek Hill move to Miami? Is it benefiting Miami, the Bills, or the Chiefs the most?
The Bills. I think the Bills. I mean, obviously you can say Miami got, one of the best wide receivers in the league. You can't deny that. But I think what everybody needs to step back and realize is, like, when Diggs moved, they were like, what's he going to be, right? Because he almost was wide receiver 1 in Minnesota, and then things started to shift. And he wasn't getting the ball as much and all that other stuff, and he's disgruntled and all that, whatever. He could have came to Buffalo, and if anybody but Josh Allen wasn't the quarterback, he could have just slipped away into nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, very easily. You got to have somebody to put the ball on him. Thankfully, that didn't happen because Josh Allen is, we'll just say it, like the second coming of Jesus. But you got Hill coming from arguably the best team in the NFL with arguably the second best quarterback in the league. And they have a relationship, and he knows the scheme and all that stuff, and he's a tremendous talent. I just don't think that Tua is the guy that's going to put it on him all the time. I don't think it's going to be a very smooth transition, and I think it benefits the Bills because Miami, yes, they got a little bit better, but Kansas City got a little worse. And that's the biggest problem that we had, I think, against the Chiefs was covering Tyreek Hill. Like, because you couldn't cover all those guys at once, and he's so slippery. If he breaks loose, it's over.
Yep.
So I really think the Bills won out on it because the amount that Miami got better is marginal to us. I mean, their offense looks, devastated. Like, they're a bunch of killers, but you still don't have that guy
that can give him the ball.
Plays. Yeah, I'd be more worried about if Tua got hurt and Teddy got in there. Like, I really would. I think Teddy's a better quarterback.
Nope, I agree.
So yeah, I think the Bills. What about you?
I do believe it's the Bills. Like you were saying, Miami, they have Tua as a quarterback, and I rank how my teams are based off quarterback play because, unless you got the top 5 defense, quarterback play is one of the biggest the biggest thing you have to worry about. And with Tua back there, I would be more concerned with the backup quarterback. But they do have talent. They have Waddle now and Hill and Gesicki. They just brought in Mostert, the running back, and Chase Edmonds. And they brought in 2 linemen that they think are going to start right away. So their offense is definitely there. But last I knew, I'm pretty sure the Bills torched the Dolphins on defense. So they brought in people to score touchdowns. They didn't bring anybody to help prevent the touchdowns.
Rob Mullen had a great take real quick.
Rob Mullen's pretty active in here, Rob. So thank you, man.
Worst offensive line in the NFL.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, you got a young quarterback who's never really had the full backing in any aspect, either coaching, he'd have the coach would have his back, but the ownership wouldn't have his back. And now that coach is gone. The first season, anytime he got into trouble, you threw Fitz in. Last year was the first real time that he had to go in and finish games, and he was dealing with all the Watson stuff and the rumors. And now, I don't know. I think everybody cries about Baker and how he's getting a raw deal and all that stuff. I think as much as I don't like Tua as a player in the game, I think dude's a rock as far as all this other stuff and the business side of thing is concerned. He's still going out there. He's doing his job. I mean, the first time that Watson got thrown at Cleveland and Baker had a freaking hissy fit meltdown and his girlfriend's on Twitter crying and doing all this stuff, and you haven't heard a peep from Tua, man. I saw that comparison. Somebody had that take. And it's like Tua didn't complain once.
Nope.
Just came in and did his job. And maybe it's not the way anybody wanted him to do it. And he definitely had better numbers by the end of the year and all that stuff. I don't believe in him. But as far as a football player, the politics and the business side of things, I think that he's a pretty like stout dude that can like take a lot and obviously not let him bother him enough, and he got better.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So this year's his year. He better show something.
Yeah.
And Rob, yeah, worst offensive line. I said last year with those 2 picks in the first round, they should have addressed the line, and they didn't. So I think the front office is not doing Tua any justice in that regard. Yeah. So yeah, and as far as Kansas City goes, I think without Hill, they're not. Mahomes can't just dump it off and pray that he's get that 60-yard yak yards that pad up his stats a little bit. So they're definitely missing that. They do have Schuster Smith now, but he's no Tyreek Hill. He's no Tyreek Hill.
Well, he should have been the showstopper in Pittsburgh, and again, Ben's weak arm and all that stuff, but he didn't really do a whole lot this last year. I mean, 2 things, man. Mahomes can make anybody look good, I think. And a lot of people are saying, like, look at all the wide receivers he has, like look at Pringle and all that stuff. And, like, true. Is Pringle as good of a wide receiver on that offense without Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill's taking double teams. He's taking the top off.
He takes a whole half a field away.
Yeah. So, like, I am very interested to see, how accurate Patrick Mahomes is now that he doesn't have a lightning bolt out there gashing people. And B, what these wide receivers are going to look like when they actually have to be covered, you know? So it'll be an interesting thing.
Paul Rossi wants to know, any chance we all get surprised and Bills draft a top linebacker, at least to replace Klein? I don't see that happening, but we will do a show. One of our last show of this pre-draft thing, Paul, will be a best player available. And I'm telling you, if Devin Lloyd out of Utah or Nakobe Dean out of Georgia, if any one of those guys are available at 25 and the Bills are going best player available, why not? Why not? So we're talking interior offensive line, and I want to go over a couple extra ones just in case they're available. If the Bills are addressing that with their first pick, is a center guard, a guy that can do multiple things. He's kind of a Ryan Bates type player in Tyler Lindenbaum out of Iowa, and then a guard by the name of Zion Johnson out of Boston College. Those would be 2 other guys that could potentially go late first, early second.
Sweet.
Who wants to hear the rest of my draft?
I do.
So, guys, at the end of every show, we're not just going to talk about the first pick because that's always the easy one to assume. We believe it's either going to be cornerback or interior offensive lineman. I think Swank can agree. We feel it's probably going to be corner. Mm-hmm. And Rob, I saw you mention it earlier. We don't need to move up in the draft to get corners because there is a handful of them that will be available late first and definitely into the second, possibly in the third. But you're going to like my picks here. So with the first pick, the Buffalo Bills go Kenyon Green, guard, tackle out of Texas A&M. With the second pick, we're going Martin Emerson from Mississippi State, 6'2", 200-pound corner. So there's that cornerback position. I'm going 2 in a row, Swank. Yep. I'm going 3rd round. We're going the second fastest guy in the combine, and Tariq Woolen from the University.
Tariq, everybody's just fast.
Yeah, Tariq.
Oh, okay.
University of Texas at San Antonio. That's the college he went to. But yes, the speed's impressive with this guy, but he's 6'4", 205 pounds as well.
Like
I have him going
Metcalf?
to 3rd. A lot of people don't have him going until the 3rd round, and I could see the Bills, if he's available, trading up to get him. But I also see that speed and I see that size, and I can see a team reaching and getting him in the first. So if he's available there, pull the trigger. I'm addressing the running back. I do like the Duke Johnson pickup, and obviously our running backs Moss and Singletary, I think they're okay. But I think bringing in Jerome Ford from Cincinnati in the 4th round would be a good pickup. And let's stick to speed here, Swank. In the 5th round, remember that kid that ran that 4.2 240 out of Baylor? Mm-hmm. Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor. So right now we just got 2 people on our team, 1 at corner, 1 at wide receiver. If that iron's not going to sharpen iron, I don't know what else will when it comes to speed. I am addressing the linebacker position there. Paul Rossi in the 6th round with Josh Rosh out of Michigan, number 12. Go check out his highlights. He can find the hole quick. He can go side to side. He's like a 4.5, 4.6 40. He's not that fast. Well, 4.6. But he does have instinct and he is able to cover the field. Very, very good hype guy and a leader on that defense. And then we have 2 6th round picks. So I'm going interior offensive line with Donovan West out of Arizona State. And I'm going to finish off this 7th pick like I always am. I think we're going after Matt Ariza, punter out of San Diego State. So those are my draft picks. Let me know what you guys think definitely in the comments down below. We will be doing this every week. And next week, I think we'll be addressing more corners than anything, Swank, because I think that's a dire need. So next week, it's going to be cornerback. We'll try to figure out which one that's going to be. But yeah, what do you think about that? You think I covered everything?
Yeah, man. I think it all sounds good. Our boy Rob Mullen was saying Kobe Bryant in 3rd, raw but extremely talented. Heard a lot about this guy, and he is absolutely like a McDermott guy. And I think the way him and Bean like to kind of take that raw dude and form it into what they want, and come to Buffalo, be the best version of yourself.
Pretty sure they did that with this guy.
Sure did. Yeah.
So guys, the reason I'm showing you this Wallace jersey is because the K-Gun Report on Tuesday, we're actually giving that away. All you have to do is join the show, the K-Gun Report, 8 o'clock Tuesday night. Leave a comment, and you're automatically entered to win that. If you do know any Pittsburgh Steelers fans, have them come on and join the conversation, or just win it for them.
Or win it for yourself, man. He was a good part of this ending the drought dynasty that we're starting to build,
And Swank, I like what you said about building people up. He was definitely one of those players that Bean and McDermott brought in and formed to fit the scheme. And I thought he did a pretty good job because everyone they brought in to kind of overtake him, he kind of took over. He kind of stood up and took that as a challenge and became a starter. And so, yep, he sure did. So next week, guys, 11 o'clock, we'll do our pre-draft show again. Thank you all for joining us. It's been fun. A lot of comments. We love it. And don't forget to join us every Tuesday, 8 o'clock as the K-Gun Report goes live. And this is all leading up to our special, April 28th, our draft special. 4 hours of fun, food, drinks, telephone conversation. And, we'll pick about 3 of them right during this whole 32 picks, but we have fun doing it. Swank, send us off. Tell us where they could find us.
You can find us on Twitter. Mine is at Swank247BF. Scott's is at Scott247BF. Jared, if you want to talk to Jared, his is at Jared247BF. The Fandemonium has its own page on Twitter. We got Facebook. We got Instagram. All of your faves. And you can catch up on these shows and more on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also check out the K-Gun every Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And, we'll be doing this show every Sunday, kind of a alternate Sunday sessions because we just miss doing way too much stuff all the time. So
add one more thing to the plate. Rob Mullen's got a quick question. QQ. With the Diggs talk, how do you feel about trading number 25 pick for Stefan's brother?
Ooh, I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't think you'll get it done. But, I mean, those kind of questions and moves are the things that I'm talking about. I don't have any problem doing something like that. They've always wanted to play together. I mean, his brother's trying to get Stefan down to Dallas, and I don't think you're ever going to get that to happen. But maybe, someday. I think it's way more likely that you could get him up here. But do the Cowboys need the draft capital? Do they need, probably not. Do they need to move him off the books? They already moved Amari Cooper, so that lightened their pocketbook a little bit. I don't know. I think it's a great idea, and I'd be all in for it.
Here's why it's a good idea, Swank. At 25, we've already discussed last week. We went over a bunch of cornerbacks that are going to be available at that pick. So, yes, Diggs had a lot of interceptions this year, but he also was like one of the worst cornerbacks in coverage as far as passing yards receiving. But that can be fixed in Buffalo. That could be fixed in Buffalo. We all know Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde cover those back two zones, and they're the best to do it. So if Diggs did get beat deep, those guys would be available. His ball hawk skills are there. He's able to locate the ball, as evidenced by all the interceptions he got. I think that'd be a good move, and I think that now you got me thinking, Rob. That would be a wonderful move because of the amount of cornerbacks that are still there. Does Dallas think that Trayvon Diggs is going to get that many interceptions this year?
Interceptions.
And at the same time, give up all those yards? That's like that. It depends on what you put all your money on. So no, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know what round he went in last year, but if you can gain a first round pick for a fourth round you got last year, that'd be something. That'd be a good move.
I mean, look at what we did with Diggs. You basically you spent a first rounder on him, traded it away, but you got literally like top 5 best wide receiver in the league, and you got it instantly, I love the idea of like getting a proven guy in here without having to gamble a first round pick on anybody. I'd go for the sure thing. That's why I also like the corner deal from the Giants. That was a hot topic there for a couple of days.
Is that Bradbury we're talking about?
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I mean, how many other teams are there that have a decent corner but need draft capital? Teams that are rebuilding, teams that just
which the Giants are.
Yeah.
New head coach, new GM. They brought their Daniels is in trouble there as far as quarterback goes, because we all know how new coaches and all that stuff like to bring in their own quarterback. Yeah. So who knows? It's going to be a fun draft time. Yeah. And we still have free agency time going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bean went after a corner for the veteran minimum, but we'll have to wait and see.
If we got Hayden for the minimum.
That'd be pretty sweet. And Swank, the more that these players aren't signing, the more they're going to have to bump down what they're asking for. Yeah. And Shaq Lawson, I know he's not a great, his numbers aren't all that great. He's bounced around a little bit, but he took league minimum. Sure. Sometimes you need to come in for that 1 year, play the league minimum just to revamp yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and Bean's the king of those deals. How many? There's a dozen guys he's brought in on prove it deals. Or come to Buffalo and redefine yourself and then move on and whatever and fill a hole. He's done that with guys and then brought them back.
Yep.
And Jordan Phillips,
Yep.
I think if anybody can get it done, he can get it done. I'm not super worried about it. I think I'd feel a lot better about having somebody that has game experience and a little bit of a seasoned veteran back there to bridge that gap before Tre'Davious comes back. But
yep.
Also,
that's really the only thing I'm nervous about.
Yeah, but Tre'Davious was a first round pick and he was day one starter, and he hasn't fallen off. So it'll be interesting, man. I can't wait. So we got 4 weeks until the draft? April 28th, guys. Swank, is that it with you, my friend? That's it for me, man.
Hey, guys, Mafia Fandemonium, thanks for joining us today. Scott and Swank's pre-draft show. The comments came in like crazy. We love it. That's why we do this. Next week, we'll talk about another corner. If you want to talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, holler at us. If you have some suggestions, maybe we'll throw them out there for you, all right? Can't wait to see you guys next week. Can't wait to see you Tuesday on the K-Gun Report. Until then, cheers. Go Bills!
Go Bills!
This is a dangerous group that